Well, I want to thank all of you for coming this evening. It is a pleasure to have you here at First Presbyterian Church. And I hope you're all in the right place. We have Mr. Hezekiah Watkins here to speak to us. We have to do this with a little bit of pomp because it's not every day that we get someone such as yourself to come and speak to us. So we have a gift on behalf of our congregation. These are some candies from a local chocolatier, so we don't want you to go away from Frankfurt without a taste of the local flavor. So there's some chocolatey goodness to accompany you to your next stop along the way. But I do want to welcome all of you who are guests to our sanctuary this evening. We're very thrilled to have you here. A couple notes about just necessities. Through this door, there is a stairway, and the stairway will lead you down to the main level. And on that main level, there are some restrooms. So if you need to avail yourself of that, that's one way. Or you can go out the main sanctuary exit, and then the main entrance into our social hall will be at your left when you get down to the bottom of the steps out there on Main Street. So in case you need to take care of business tonight. I want to ask you all if you would pause with me for a moment of prayer. Gracious and holy God, you challenge us to do what is right, to love justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with you. We give you thanks for people such as Mr. Watkins who have done that in their personal lives. And we pray that tonight might be both a memory of lives such as his that were challenged and the life to which you call each of us. So we pray your Spirit would descend upon this place and especially the people held within in order to hear Mr. Watkins' words and also your words. In your holy name we pray. Amen. A couple words of thank you. I want to say a big special thank you to Diana Peters. She's a member of First Presbyterian Church. She has done a lot to help get the word out about Mr. Watkins' visit this evening. She has, I think, gotten a lot of you to come this evening by personal invitation. And she does so much behind the scenes. This is an event that couldn't have happened as well without her. So Diana, we thank you for all that you've done. We had a lot of sponsors for this evening, and I want to mention their names as well. We give thanks to the sponsors, including Mr. Derek Graham, the Thornhill Learning Center, Kentucky Monthly, Mary Lynn Collins, the Frankfurt Kiwanis Club, and Focus on Race Relations. Let's show them some love. I also want to say a word about some of the folks that are with us this evening. There are some people in our congregation who were at the historic March on Frankfurt almost 60 years ago. If you're one of those folks, could you either wave or give a gesture about being one of those folks? Next year will be the 60th anniversary of that historic event, and there is going to be a recreation of that march. So there will be more information about that forthcoming, primarily for the Focus on Race Relations. There's some other organizations that are pitching in to help sponsor that event, something that you won't want to miss as well. But now we've got some local dignitaries that I'd like to introduce. We've got County Judge Executive Michael Muller. Would you please come and share some greetings?
Well, as most of you all know, I'm four months into the job, so public speaking is not my forte, but I can tell you I've met this man and he's a wonderful gentleman. So I'm happy to be here tonight. So I would like to start by thanking the church for having us. I think it's a wonderful program to put on tonight, and I'm very thankful for that. How are the words Freedom Rider defined? A group of northern idealists active in the civil rights movement. The Freedom Riders, who include both blacks and whites, rode buses into the South in the early 1960s in order to challenge racial segregation. Freedom riders were regularly attacked by mobs of angry whites and received often belated protection from federal officers. I am honored to be here this evening to participate in this historical event of learning more about Mr. Watkins' journey and lived experience during the 1960s civil rights movement. In my research of Mr. Watkins' life and his life's work, I was immediately struck with several words that I think we can all agree on are synonymous with Mr. Watkins. Those words are bravery, perseverance, selflessness, and advocate. For a young African-American male to be thrust into a world where you have to fight each day for basic civil rights and to continue to carry that torch throughout his lifetime is not only commendable and admirable, but his life has been one with trauma, with many life lessons for us all to learn from. It is important for our youth and folks in our community to educate ourselves on where we've been, where we are, and where we're going when we discuss racial equality and the efforts that got us to this point in time. Mr. Watkins is a living, breathing, walking piece of our nation's history who is an example of perseverance and advocating for change and equality. His fight for racial justice in America is not only inspiring, but one of civil activism to improve the lives of others. We welcome you to Frankfort and Franklin County during this week of Frankfort History Week. I would just like to say we are happy to listen to your journey tonight, and I know we will all be moved, inspired, and leave here having been in the room with a true hero and game changer for the landscape of civil rights activism and equal freedoms in our country. So thank you.
Next, I'd like to invite Representative Derek Graham to come forward and bring greetings on behalf of, please do.
This is different. Before I make my remarks, I want to take this time, Mr. Watkins, because that's what we are known to do. Call everyone by their last name when they are our elders. I want to thank you for the service that you have provided, not only for the people of Franklin County and Kentucky, or from the South, but you were at the very start of the civil rights movement, and you got to see the icons who helped make the success of the civil rights movement as it was in the 60s, and with Martin Luther King Jr. And so I come to you as your state representative. I also was your former city commissioner who was vice mayor. I could not have achieved those gains or those opportunities without what you did and what others did to make life better than what you went through, what your parents, grandparents went through. The changes that were made for the good of all people. And as I see these kids here in the front, is that you have that challenge to make sure that we don't go back, but that we move forward. And as a country, if we move forward, then the country, the United States of America, which we all in this church today, we love. But we cannot have a country that is divisive, that does not respect the rights of others, and does not follow the Constitution of the United States, which is the foundation of who we are. So, on behalf of the people of Frankfort and Franklin County and our great Commonwealth of Kentucky, we welcome all of you here tonight to this historic event. We are humbled and honored to have as our guest Mr. Watkins, who is dedicated and devoted to civil rights and was a civil rights icon, an advocate, an author, and the youngest freedom fighter rider during the civil rights movement of the 1960s. We want to thank you for your strong commitment and dedication to fight for freedom, civil rights, and human rights for all of us. Your determination, along with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and other countless trailblazers, brought forth a great deal of change. And as we all are aware, progress is a fragile thing that we must continue to protect with as much tenacity as we can. Civil rights are human rights, and when the rights of one group of people are at risk, the rights of everyone are at risk. We all have the capacity to advocate for ourselves and others, and I hope tonight we are inspired to continue to work for equality for all. Thank you all. God bless you. God keep you. And thank you again.
And I'd also like to introduce to you another special guest we have with us this evening. Mr. Charles Booker is with us. Stay down.
I gotta shake your hand. Thank you. Thank you for lending us your support. Well, okay, will be brief. I didn't have prepared remarks. I want to listen, and I want to do some learning, and quite honestly, I want to boost the motivation. So no pressure at all. And you already know. Again, I am Charles Booker, former state representative, but I'm now working with Governor Beshear, leading his Office of Faith-Based and Community Initiatives, and on behalf of our governor, but also as a descendant of Kentuckians who fought for civil rights, and as someone who feels the urgency to bend the arc in my own state, I wanted to be here with you to, honestly, I believe, as a Commonwealth and as a country, we need to focus and center ourselves again in the work of healing. And this event could not be placed at a better moment in time. We need it today. Not even because of the news happening today, but I personally have suffered a lot of losses. And as a country, we have been broken. We are seeing the rights and identity and humanity of people being disregarded, discarded. A lot of the gains, a lot of the progress that you showed great courage to fight for is being undermined in real time. And it could be easy to give up or to doubt that change is possible. And so I want to thank First Presbyterian for the foresight and understanding of putting an event like this together, and all the partners that came together, because we need to remember that change is still possible. And with Mr. Watkins right behind me, he is the constant reminder that history is not disconnected. The work isn't in some black and white photo to be forgotten about or in a history book that folks want to ban. It's real, it's with us. So not only is it real and it's with us, but he's a reminder that it's still possible. And I have a little heaviness on my heart. Last night I lost my uncle. And I'll share it here just real quick because it's timely. I didn't post this on social media, so some of y'all that see my post there, y'all can see I didn't tell this part. My uncle faced a lot of discrimination because of his identity, and he was made to feel like he wasn't good enough and he didn't belong, not only because of the color of his skin, but because of his identity. And I saw him fight through so much trauma to show the courage to be himself and to encourage others to be themselves as well. I celebrate my uncle in the same vein that I'm going to celebrate this giant behind me. Because you showed the courage to take those rides. It made room for me to run. From the hood to the hollow and everywhere else I've been going. And I just need y'all to know, and I'm reminding myself too, as we hear these words today, remember in your heart what it looks like to see change and to see love and to see hope. Remember why we do the work that we do. That's why I wanted to bring my family, my daughters, my bosses, Kaylin, Preston, and my youngest is Justice. I named her Justice because I wanted to make sure that justice is real in her lifetime. You started that work, and you're still doing it. And we're going to do it all with you, and we thank you for being a role model.
And one last time, I invite you to welcome and share your love for Mr. Watkins as he expresses his story to us.
Good evening. To the pastor, members, friends, guests, everyone. Welcome. You know, it's so nice to see a group like this sitting together, enjoying each other together. This is what the Lord wanted. This is what Dr. King wanted. This is what others wanted. And I'm glad I'm here tonight to see this with my eyes. I have a question, if I may. By show of hands, how many of you ever met a freedom rider before? Great. For those of you who did not raise your hand, if you ever see a freedom rider, tell that person, thank you for your service. We was in a battle without guns, a battle without ammunition. The only thing we had was our life. That was our gun. That was our ammunition. Our lives. But I'm glad to know that we survived that war. Just look at us now. It just makes me proud to see the different faces that I see out here tonight. But anyway, y'all didn't come hear me talk about that. You came to hear me talk about my journey. Now my journey, wow, I had a rough journey. And the reason I said my journey was rough is because I was thrown into the movement at the age of 13. You see, I grew up in Jackson, Mississippi, but I was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And growing up in Jackson, there wasn't a lot of things a black boy could do. Of course, we went to school, we went to church, we played, that was it. We didn't have swimming pools, skating rings, all of the other things that the little white boys and little white girls had. I'm saying to myself, I've never seen anything like it before in my life. So I chose to run next door and get my best friend. We always would call him the smartest one. But later on, we found out he wasn't that smart. He was a lie. So we could use that lie as being smart. But nevertheless, I went next door and told him his name is Troy. I said, Troy, man, you need to come watch TV with me. He said, what you watching? And I told him the news. He began laughing. Man, you crazy. Nobody want to watch no news. I'd rather be doing something playful, something that's enjoyable. And you talk about watching the news. Who watches the news? And I told him, man, this news is different. It's not like the news we're accustomed to. You need to come watch this news. And eventually he said, maybe. But the next day he came over. And we sitting there, waiting for the national news to come on. And once it came on, the first story was Birmingham, Alabama, the Freedom Ride. I said, what is the Freedom Ride? I don't know. You're the smartest one, you should know. He said, I'm going to look into it. So we kept watching the news, and Troy's making statements as the news is being told and as the news is being shown. And Troy stated, man, I don't understand. Look at all these white folks out there. They being beaten too. I said, yeah, I'm looking. He's looking at all the black folks. All of them are being beaten. Yeah, I'm looking. Troy said, well, man, I don't understand this. We don't work with white folks. White folks don't work with us. But they are working together. What is this? Man, I don't know. He said, why don't you go and ask your mother? Your mama knows everything. I said, watch it, boy. So I went and asked my mom. I referred to my mom as my dear. I said, my dear, will you tell me about the Freedom Riders? She said, what? I thought maybe she really didn't hear me. And I walked a little closer. Will you tell me about the Freedom Riders? My mom said, boy, you better get out of this house. Freedom Riders? You done lost your mind? I'm not talking about no Freedom Riders in this house. So right off, I'm thinking, what are them grown folks' words? Because when I was a child, the grown folks in the house, they would tell you to leave the house or leave the room so we can talk. And I'm thinking that's what it is. I walk on out and I tell Troy, man, we can't get nothing from my mom. She won't talk to me. Must be one of them grown folks' words. Maybe so. So we had this science teacher named Jeremiah Turner. Now we refer to him as Mr. T. Mr. T would tell us anything, everything, things that we weren't supposed to know. Mr. T would tell us, as long as you did the work. And we all did the work in Mr. Turner's class because we all wanted to hear his story. He was a baseball fanatic. He was this and he was that. And he loved to talk about himself. And we enjoyed that. But we knew we could go to Mr. T and Mr. T would tell us about the Freedom Ride. And we did. We knocked on his office. Come in. You walked in. What you boys want? Mr. T, we want you to tell us about the Freedom Ride. You said what? I want you to tell us about the Freedom Ride. What you said, boy? You said it again. I'm asking myself. Something must be wrong with Mr. T. Like he didn't kill me. So he raised up from his desk and he looked at us. Funny look. And he replied, "Get the hell out of here, boy. I'm going right now. Get out of my classroom." Wow. Mr. he had never spoken to us like this before. So now we are wondering, it must be something about those freedom riders no one want to talk about. So we began to ask some of the elders within the community. And all of them have a different story. And they just don't fool with them when they come here. Don't do this to get you in trouble. Wow, that made us in trouble. Because now they are heroes and sheroes. Just about watching them on TV. So one day before I came to me and said, man, I heard. What did you hear, man? I heard the Freedom Riders are on their way to Jackson. I said, this Jackson? This Jackson. And we began jumping up, dancing. The Freedom Riders coming to Jackson. And those songs out. Man, when they come, we got to go and see them. Yeah, you sure right, man. We got to go. And I said, wait a minute. We're 13 years old. How we gonna get out of the house at 13 and go to the bus station? I said, I don't know, man. You the smartest woman. Well, I'll come up with something. So, okay. And we was baptized by faith. He said, man, when we go to church Sunday, we're going to do Sunday school. We're going to do the morning service. We're going to go home and eat. And after that, we're going to play sick. And we began practicing on how we're going to fall from the chair to the floor and be sick. And we did that probably for about 5 days. Y'all call it role playing, but we just call it plain old practice. And we did. We practiced. We was actually falling from the chair to the floor. And Troy said, make sure your mother is not watching you once you fall. So when my mom wasn't looking, I just, whoop, just fell to the floor. And actually my mom dove over on me. Baby, what's wrong? What's wrong? And I'm right. Very down. So my mom got me, but she was able to get her arm up under my neck where it was launched here. And she said, what's wrong? I said, I got a knot on this side. She began to rub it. And I said, I'm switched over here. She said, my chest. And my mom rubbed me for, I don't know, maybe 5 or 10 minutes. And she asked me, do you feel a little better? I said, just a little better, but not that much. She said, wow. She said, well, can you get up? I said, I think I can. She said, well, try to get up. And I got up, and she said, go lie down in my bed. I said, ma'am, make sure she said the right thing. She said, go lie down in my bed. And when she said that, I knew I had a man. Because when I was growing up, you couldn't even sit on mama's bed. Mama's bed was sacred. But she said, lie down. And I made my way to mama's bed. And after I made it to her bed, she came back and she's still rubbing on me. She sat back there with me and did a little hymn, little church hymn. And I told her I was feeling a little better, but I didn't feel like going back to church. So she said, well, Mom, I'm going to go to church. Will you be okay? I said, yes, ma'am. So I could hear my mom leaving the house. Then I could hear my mom coming back into the house. And I could hear my mom walking down the hall. And once my mom got down the hall to her bedroom, she looked at me and said, don't you leave this house. Wow. I can stay home, but I can't leave the house. So Troy run over man, where your bicycle? Where your bicycle? I said, I can't. Oh man, you can go? No, I'm sitting on the house. Oh man, we can go to the bus station. We can be back home before they leave church. He said, you know Reverend Johnson? I said, yeah, Reverend Johnson preach all night. I said, we got plenty of time. And I said, well, yeah, Reverend Johnson does preach a long time. We were Baptists. Reverend Johnson preached all the time. So I disobeyed my mom, got on the bicycle, we go to the bus station. We get to the bus station, no one is there. No pedestrians, no cars, no police officers, nobody. We thought. So since the sidewalk is clear, Troy and I, we began racing each other down the sidewalk and back up, back. So we finally get tired. So Troy said, well, let's go back. And when you pass the bus station, keep your head in front of you, but touch your eyes over in the station to see what you can see. So we did that a couple of times. We get to here, what you see, man? I didn't see nothing. What you got? I didn't see nothing. So I said, okay, one more time. And that third time we passed the bus station door, my good friend pushed me inside of the bus station. After being pushed inside, I saw this banner hanging from the ceiling that read white only. Well, when I saw that sign, I kind of got a little pep to my step. And I'm ready to run out. And I turned to go out of the bus station. But before I could make that exit, police detained me. And asked, why are you in here? I didn't lie to her. I officer. My friend out there pushed me in here. He said, what friend? He's out there, officer. Carried me on the outside and said, wait. I looked to my left. I looked to my right. Troy was nowhere in sight. I was taken back inside of the bus station and I was asked 2 questions. Your name and your birthplace. I gave them my name, and just so happened I was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where my father left Mississippi, which my mom was my mom at the time, and my 2 brothers was my 2 brothers at the time. But he left and took them to Milwaukee, Wisconsin for a better life, during what we call the Great Migration period. I'm told that my father found employment, doing well. My mom began to carry me. I come home. 3 years later, my father died. And my mother had to make a decision. Do I stay in Milwaukee or do I move back to Mississippi, where her parents were? So she made the decision to go back to Mississippi, and that's where I am now. But after being arrested at the bus station, I was placed inside of a paddy wagon. If you don't know what a paddy wagon is, they call it a transport vehicle. And I was put in that transport vehicle, and we began driving. They was driving up right. We went to a place called Parchman Prison. Probably none of you heard of it. But it's a state prison in Mississippi. And it was, and still almost today, is the worst prison in these United States. Individuals being murdered on a daily basis. Several ways they were either being beaten, starved to death, or shot. So here I am, I'm taken to this prison, not knowing what it is, not knowing where I am. And we got there late in the morning, and I couldn't tell what kind of place. It kind of reminded me of a small college because of the bricks in the building that was surrounded. The only thing threw me off was the barbed wire fence that was up top. And I didn't know what that was for. So the man tells me to grab the mattress, and I did. I couldn't pick it up, so I had to drag half of it to my bed. And after getting there, he opened another set of doors and told me to get out one of those phones. And I did. And the next morning, the floodgates opened, more or less. I was awakened with 2 inmates in the cell with me. And they would refer to me as young blood. Young blood, what you in here for? That's why I don't know, I didn't do anything. So you did something because you in here. What did you do, man? I said, I didn't do anything. I said, I was in the Greyhound bus station, but that was it. And they began laughing. They I won't use the word, but they gonna kill you because you went in the Greyhound bus station. I said, kill me? He said, yeah, don't you know where you are? I said, no. You in Parchment Prison, and this is death row. This is when they kill your whatever adjective that you can put in there. And it was a shock. It was unbelievable to me for them to be saying, I'm going to die. The treatment that I received in Parchment Prison, I don't wish it on no one. I don't even have enemies that I know of. But if I had some enemies, I wouldn't even want my enemies to go to Parchment Prison. I can tell you this much, I was beaten every day. My food was taken, and I was just treated inhumanely. Okay? During this time I'm in Parchment Prison, my mom was looking for me. So she goes to the police department and tells the police, my son is missing. Can you help me? They told my mom, no, your son ain't missing. He ran off to Chicago or maybe to Detroit. Or he's dead. So my mom began to think, well, my son didn't run away, so he must be dead. But we had a president of these United States, and his name was John F. Kennedy. And we had a governor of the state of Mississippi, the most racist individual I've ever known. His name was Robert Burnett. I'm sure none of you heard of him. But if you have, he's a racist. He's a racist. The president called the governor, so I wasn't at the table. But I'm told the president called the governor and told the governor about young men, young boys, should I say, that was at Parchment Prison. And the governor lied. We don't have no young folks at Parchment Prison. But I will check into it. And I'm told that the governor, at the end of the conversation, called the correctional institution and had me. And I was brought back to the Jackson jail. In return, they called my chairs until she got almost to me and she fell. And I kind of launched out to keep her from falling, but we both fell on the floor. And she hugging me, we both crying, just enjoying each other. And my mom finally told me, baby, I'm glad you're home. And the police officer took the handcuffs off me so I could hug my mom, just have a good time. That unconditional love is what my mom was showing. And my mom had to sign some papers for me to be released. And she signed those papers, and I was glad she signed them because I was ready to go home. I didn't want to watch that anymore. So we walk into the car, and my mom got that old toe rope around my neck, just choking me in the back. Baby, I love you, I miss you, all of these things. And I'm telling her I love you, I miss you. And we get home, and my mom changed on me. My mom was a Christian lady. Seriously. I had never heard my mom use a curse word in my life. But my mom told me to hurry up and get out of the car. It was the way she said it. I knew something was wrong. And she repeated it with a curse word. And I was shocked. Do you hear me talking to you? I have two brothers in the house that's going to be very curious where I've been, what happened. Oh, now, God. Sometimes kind of visualize here how I'm going to approach them once I get inside the house. But my mom couldn't wait. She walked around and just pulled the door open, almost pulled the hinges off, and told me to get out. Once they got out, she popped me upside the head. I'm just looking at her, and I'm saying to myself, you know, my mom don't know what I've been through. You know, I've been through some things, but she won't even talk about it. She won't even let me tell her what happened. And she said, get on in the house now. I'm walking slow. She said, once you get in the house, drop. Y'all might not know what drop means. Drop means take off your clothes, all of your clothes. And that's what I did. Young lady, you mind coming here for a minute, please, ma'am? Yes, ma'am. Just for a second. My mom came in the house and told me to drop. It's all right, baby. My mom said drop. But I went in the house and I became what we call both naked. Okay? And my mom came in the house with 3 switches. Sure. Okay? Okay. And she took, my mom took those switches and she braided those switches until it was looking like this lady hair here. She took that switch and she beat the stuff out of me. Now this happened in July. I was unable to leave the house until September. And the reason I left in September, school stopped. In September, so it was a must. The first day school is out, I met this man named James Bell, who was an activist in Jackson. And he ran up to me and said, man, I and showed me all of the things that shouldn't be, all of the things that we was going through. And I can recall quite vividly, we went to a place called Woodworth. It was a lunch counter that was where you sit and you could look outside. And I used to pass through there. And I would see the little white kids sitting there, drinking their malt, eating their hamburgers. I wanted to do that so bad. And I told Mr. Bill, that's what I want. He said, let's go in there and do it. I said, man, you crazy? I'm going in there. So we went to the city bus, and we got on the bus, and I began walking to the back, because that's what we had to do, go to the back and sit down. James, let's sit up here. Man, you must be crazy. I'm not sitting up there. So we began to do those things. And he began to tell me about the street that I lived on was gravel. Y'all know what gravel road is? But we was in the city and my street was gravel. But the white folks lived on the other side and their street was paved. And he was telling me about the taxes. I don't know anything about no taxes. He said, but your tax dollars paid their streets. Why your street is not paid? It began to race. Something is wrong. Something is real wrong. So I began talking to my mother about some of the same things Mr. Bevel had told me. And I'm asking my mother why. And she really wouldn't tell me. She said, what you getting at? I said, I want my street to be level too so I can skate. The little white kid gonna be skating. You can't skate on no rock. So my mom looked at me and said, I was wondering how long. So out of these 3 boys that I had, you the youngest, but you the foolish one. And I told her, I just want to make things right for me, for you, for my brother, and for everybody else. And she said, if that's what you want to do, you have my blessing. So I called Mr. Bevel and told him my mom said it's okay. And he came by and picked me up. We began talking. And my next stop was an A&P grocery store, where we went into A&P and asked him, man, why you don't have blacks in here? He said, it's simple. They can't count. That's why I don't have any black employees here. I remember Mom telling me, you know, always use your fingers. If you run out of fingers, take your brother with you and use this finger. You know, but I just couldn't understand why this man did not want to hire blacks in his store. But that was his reason that he gave. But we set up a protest, a demonstration around his store, and it didn't last long, about a week. He came back and said, you all crazy my business. What can I do to make you stop? The only thing we asked you to do was hire some blacks. And if you do that, good job. Bring me 3. I have today. We brought him 3. And he hired me. And we stopped our walkout. And I went on to be arrested 109 times in the state of Mississippi. I became the youngest freedom rider at the age of 13 with the most arrests of 109. And in closing, there's several things I want to say in closing. We can all make a difference. You don't need 10, 15, 20. One person can make a difference if he or she wants to. Okay? You can make a difference at your home, in your neighborhood, at your school, at your church. Anywhere that you see something that's going on wrong and you want to make it right, you can do it. And I went in the bed Hey man, you mind if I help? No, come on. The next day you get your another flower. See how you come along with it. And that's how it goes. Just keep it moving. Anything that you see is wrong and you want to make it right, you can do it by yourself. Well, I'm willing to bet you would have others that come along and say, hey, Will, I'm going to help you out, y'all. Okay? That'll get a way to work. And those of you, that's the will there, those of you, most of you are in here of voting age, right? 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 A little slow in saying right. But what we have to do, we must vote. Vote, vote, vote. Voting is our only hope at this point in our life. You know, you don't have to go out and be beaten. My brother here stated earlier, so did my brother here, about what the Freedom Riders did to help them get what they are in a elected position. But not only did the Freedom Riders help you two, the Freedom Riders helped every elected official. You see, it wasn't Kentucky laws that was passed, Mississippi laws that was passed. It was the Supreme Court who passed that Voting Rights Act. It wasn't locally, it was nationally. So everybody benefited. And we're still benefiting. But that benefit is going in the wrong direction. We have to look at what is happening. They, don't ask me who they are, but they, just use the word they, will get an individual who look like me, fill my campaign with money, put me out there, and I win. But when I get there, who are you? I don't know you. That's what is happening today. One politician, I won't call his name, he's a national figure. He used the word rope-a-dope. I always thought that rope-a-dope came from the man from Louisville. Well, how would I leave? But he used the word rope-a-dope by saying individuals who may look like me, but don't do what they're supposed to do. Who might look like you, sir? And once you get there, you don't do what you're supposed to do. He called it the rope-a-dope. But once again, I thought the rope-a-dope was in terms of fighting. But anyway, in closing, real closing now. I'm not a Baptist preacher.
Take your time.
But I would like to share this with you. We all have heard of Freedom Riders. But what I want to share with you at this time, to let you know, just in case you didn't, there was thousands of Freedom Riders that came to Jackson, Mississippi. And guess what? Y'all bet y'all didn't know this. Over half of them was white. Did y'all know that? No. They was out fighting. And I used to say they don't have a dog in a hunt. I got to work with my granddad. Not having a dog in the hunt. So if you don't have a dog in the hunt, you're not going to be out hunting. But they was out hunting. They was out being beaten. They was being murdered. They was being raped. They was being everything that you can think of was happening to them, just like blacks. But guess what? When our lawmakers saw the little white boys and the little Anybody heard of Fannie Lou Hamer? I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I heard that. That was Fannie Lou Hamer said that. She was tired of being sick and tired. She was the one who got that vote at last. And what are we doing with it? We're not voting. But anyway, I'm through. Are there any questions? If so, I'm here to answer in the best way I can. Anyone? Yes?
How did you keep your spirit up through all of that?
I'm sorry to be a little closer.
How did you keep your spirit up through all that? How did you not get discouraged and stop?
Well, ma'am, that's a good question. She want to know how or why I was not discouraged. Ma'am, sometimes those beatings was coming so frequently until I wanted to just give up. But I didn't. There was something telling me, just go on, you can make it. And I'm glad I chose to hit that voice back there. And I didn't give up, I kept going. I mean, not just me, it was hundreds of others who kept going as well. And I'm glad I kept going. I'm glad they kept going too. Because if we had stopped, who knows what would have happened. Okay? Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I'm curious about your best friend. Did he join you?
I'm going to pause for a moment here. If you got a question, give me a chance to bring the microphone to you, and you can say your question so everybody can hear you, and then Mr. Watkins can address it.
I said I was curious about his best friend. What did he go on? Did he go with him as a freedom rider, or what happened?
No, ma'am. His name is Troy, and Troy never was arrested, and he never did apologize. A lot of things happened. My mom never did let me tell her the real reasons I went to jail, what it was based on. What it was based on. And she passed without, she just didn't want to talk about that part of it. But I can tell you all this. I did get Troy back. And we was in the 12th grade, and it was right after lunch. You know, sometime after lunch you have to go. And I saw him when he went in, and the little door closed. I went in right behind him, and I got my revenge. Is there another one?
I want to first thank you for, it's just been an honor to hear you talk and to share your experience. My question is, what is your advice to this generation that is not physically, per se, being beaten, but we are being beaten from every angle right now? You know, we have great figures, political figures, such as former Representative Booker, Representative Grant. I have the honor of being one of his constituents, and he was my teacher as well. So. But I've learned from them, and they have been absolutely amazing. But what could you tell us, I'm 27, how do we keep going? Because, you know, it's rough right now, too.
It really is, and frustrated to me based on violence that we, let me ask you this question, is that your baby?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. Let's start bringing up your baby now. As I said, children are not obeying their parents. Parents are not parenting their children. Now, to try to answer your question the best of my knowledge, we have to start at home. We cannot expect for the teacher to do it. They have enough. And what, 18, 20 kids in the classroom? she spent half her allotted time by telling, I'm going to use the word Johnny. Sit down, Johnny. Don't do this, Johnny. Jerry, why are you doing that? You keep doing that daily and daily. She can't teach my child. Your child, you know, your child. Your child. You know, that's what a household come in. And then parents are too. And I'm a parent, I'm a grandparent. Parents are too eager to be friends with their children. And I can speak about me. I never was my mother's friend. I loved her dearly, but I wasn't her friend. She did not allow me to be her friend. And she loved me. And I think that's what a breakdown is there, is how we raise our kids. Wow, that was just it. There's a middle school near where I live, and there was a problem with 2 females, and both females was expelled, sent home. The mothers on both sides came up to jump on the principal. See, this is the type of world we live in. And this is down in Mississippi. I don't know what goes on here. But that's in Mississippi. And it's all over. I have relatives in Wisconsin. I have one relative who's a teacher. And he just can't wait for his time to be up. Because of the way the kids act. When I was in school, probably you too, sir, you got spanking by the principal or the teacher. And you couldn't go home and tell it. So if you went home and told it, you got a lot. It has broken down somewhere. Now all the blame is not on the parents. Now some of the blame could be on the teachers. Okay. Could be, okay? But I hope that answers your question. I'm not sure. But I do think it needs to start at home. And a lot of us is not parenting the way we was parented. And I think that's a big problem.
What would you do if your son did what you did? Would you give him a whipping?
My son,
If your son, like your mother, took care of you,
the way my mom,
yeah, how would you?
man, I would be far talking. Yes, ma'am, I would whoop you. Yeah. But you know, being black in Jackson, Mississippi, and other states, and if you have a teenager that's out driving, like just away from home, you know, you're afraid for that child for all kinds of reasons. You know, you go to the store, you don't want to shelter your child. You want him to be able to go to the store, get soda or whatever, but you're afraid when he leaves home, is he going to return? That's the problem that we are having in Mississippi and other states as well. You know, but you can't keep them in the house. That's another thing. The lady back there, she gone. But video game. You have to mention video game. It's another thing that's the lady looking at it. But video game is something else to get into kids' minds and steer them in the right direction. We have to monitor those games. I have a grandson who stayed with me since day one. And if you don't watch him, he can order stuff just like that. And now he can order stuff that doesn't come to the house. It goes directly to the game. So, you know, you have to be careful what you're, as you are cooking, child in his or her home, you have to go back there periodically and just find out what you're doing, what you're watching. You know, just check. But you'd be surprised. I can tell y'all some stories on my grandson that make you just shake your head and say, But they do that. Children will be children. And we have to make sure that we protect them the best way we can. Okay. Is there another one? Okay, I guess I did a pretty good job. Huh?
Mr. Watkins, we thank you for visiting us this evening. We do have